Welcome to Jesus Before Money. My name's Corey. I'm happy that you're here. Well, I didn't know what to do, right? I made a video. I felt I was compelled to make a video last week. And then now, after what I saw in the charts, and I'll show you that soon, I'm doubling down on my last warning video, okay? I'm not saying that we're going to collapse completely. We're definitely overdue for a pullback, a significant pullback. The narrative, the AI narrative is changing. The Fed just cut rates and everyone thinks it's bullish, right? And then they start buying soft QE or whatever you want to call it. They're starting to buy up their treasuries like I said they're going to have to do. They're going to have to start buying their treasuries last video, but now they're only buying the short end. They're buying the short end because the overnight repo and the SOFR spreads and all these like credit spreads that I can't really fully explain. But I know it has to deal with lending, and when there's big needs for lending from the banks, when they need liquidity, there are the interest rates will spike on this overnight lending. But anyway, there's been a lot of banks borrowing money recently, panic borrowing. Okay, the Fed isn't quantitative easing right now. They're literally preparing for something that we don't understand. Okay, they are getting ready to bail out the banks, to bail out the system. That's what that was. It was a little move into, let's not try to panic everybody, but something's brewing, okay? Now, before we go there, this is a Jesus show, so I'm just going to read a passage in the Bible real quick. And I hope if anyone's listening, maybe it resonates with you, okay? I'm in John 3, 18 through 21. There is no judgment against anyone who believes in him. But anyone who does not believe in him has already been judged for not believing in God's one and only Son. And the judgment is based on this fact. God's light came into the world, but people loved the darkness more than the light, for their actions were evil. And who do evil hate the light and refuse to go near it, for fear their sins will be exposed. But those who do what is right come to the light so others can see that they are doing what God wants. Let me just repeat this. All who do evil hate the light and refuse to go near it for fear their sins will be exposed. My men's group this week, we did a testimony. I went deep into everything. And it's very, it's nerve-wracking when you do confess sins and you let everything be known, but it's also very humbling and it's very freeing, and that's exactly what the Bible says. Okay, now I'm going to play a video. Complacency in the market, Santa Claus rally. Maybe, but the AI narrative is changing and interest rates are spiking, and the yen or the Japan carry trade is starting to play out. So it can happen quick. Just listen to this and see if it doesn't resonate to where we are right now. And then we'll hop into the charts.
Apple's up more than 6% right now. Google about 3%. But Dell, Intel, Research Motion, and Microsoft are all to the upside. Look how strong.
This is the green. It's going up forever. It's going to the moon. They're missing out.
Most of the techs this morning, if not all of them, have just exploded to the down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate. We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%.
We're down over 16%. Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
The stock market is now down 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Two-year no yields went from 190 to 166 in the blink of an eye.
On the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
From the financial...
All right, we'll end it there. I think you get the idea. And this is what I'm trying to convey to everybody, is that, listen, everything's great until it's not. The stock market takes the stairs up and then the elevator down. Fear is a stronger emotion than greed. And right now we are in max greed. And we're at max complacency. And I don't know when, and I'll go through some things about my previous ideas, but I wasn't going to come on here until I saw a chart pattern, a topping pattern, or something that was like, hey, I need to just to warn, okay? And this is what this is. It's a continuation of my warning, right? All right, so this is the weekly chart of the U.S. 10-year. It was in this descending parallel channel until it broke out, right? Now, when you break out, like I mentioned before, and then you start consolidating sideways, this is actually a bullish pattern, okay? This is saying that interest rates are going to go up, not down, or at least that they have upward pressure, okay? Now, the Fed can step in and buy the long end of the curve and do real quantitative easing, okay? But I'm just telling you, they've done this so many times. There's so much funny money. The system's been bailed out so many times, okay? They might not be able to save it this time. Or this might be the last time. This is why I mentioned my last video. I believe crypto is the bailout. Where are we going? $50, $100 trillion in debt? I mean, just imagine these numbers, okay? America's insolvent. We're so close to Jesus coming back. If you don't understand the signs of the times, that you're not paying attention. Okay, the wars, roars and rumors of wars just escalating. Okay, we're probably already in World War III. That will ultimately bring upon tribulation, right? And there is a video. It's called "To the American Remnant." Pastor Philip Barnett, and he talks about the 2,000-year cycles. I think it's the 2,000 years from the garden to the flood, 2,000 years from the flood to Jesus, and then 2,000 years from Jesus until his ultimate return. Okay, well, 2,000 years, we think he died in 30 AD. We're where? 2025, right? And Pastor Philip Barnett says that this war between Russia and Ukraine ultimately leads to nuclear exchange. I mean, how far away could we be? And I'm just telling you, I do not believe in the Bible. I'm not going to go into passages right now, but literally, I think this whole thing collapses. Okay. And then we're going to have a massive revival. People don't come to Christ. There's no atheists in a foxhole. Okay. People are going to come to Christ. We're going to have the last and greatest revival under pressure as this world falls apart right before God takes his church out, and then tribulation comes into play. And then the Antichrist takes over. And I'm telling you right now, not every Christian goes. I don't know what the deciding factor is. I don't even know if I'm going to go. In fact, I've begged Christ for me to stay. As a combat medic, I think that I could do a good job of helping people, but I just beg him to take my family, okay? All kids go. I don't know where the dividing line is, but they go, right? And we'll just end there. It's coming. It's soon. If this doesn't play out right now, maybe they bail it out one last time. Maybe we get another 5 years or 10 years. I don't know, but I don't think it's very long, okay? Now, the 10-year, briefly, we'll go through this because I've already talked a bunch. Okay, I said what? Interest rates up, stock market down, okay? Okay, and I got kind of some of my dates wrong. I'm pretty sure right here, this is September 17th. Around this time frame is when the Fed cut rates in September, and it popped, okay? And then around this time frame in October, the Fed cut rates and we popped. And then we were in this wedge, broke out of the wedge, retest the wedge, and then are coming up. So then on Wednesday, we actually start pushing higher on the 10-year. And then we sell off. We actually gap lower on Thursday, sell back. But what has happened on Thursday? Thursday up, Friday up. Now we're up and we're chopping sideways, putting in bullish consolidation. I honestly believe everything that this chart is telling me, that interest rates are about to spike. And when the 10-year starts rising, okay, it'll rise slowly because it doesn't move very fast. It might take another week or two. But if this continues to move up like the 4.5%, it's going to send shockwaves through the financial community. Why did the Fed cut rates and interest rates are now climbing? I mean, they're going to think that the Fed lost control. Okay? And then the stock market. The stock market, I've shown this many times. Okay? On the weekly chart here, give me a second. We gapped up, or we put in what's called this topping tail. What I believe happened is we actually tried to break out of this parallel, and then we put in a topping tail. Okay, it reversed this whole week. Then after that topping tail, we reversed, and then we tried to re-attack, never making a new all-time high, which is interesting, right? Because if rate cuts are so bullish, why did we not make a new all-time high? Why did we have a massive sell-off on Friday? Just let that sink in. The narrative in the stock market is changing. Okay? I still think that this is the pattern from people that might not have seen my videos. A shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. Okay? I think we break, and then at least in the short term, I think we're going to test right here. I think we're going to test this former high. Okay? Now, this is a parallel. This is a parallel. We can come here. And then as I pointed in my last video, if this breaks and we come here, this was the sell-off from the tariff low, and April 7th was the low. But if we end up doing this, and what is that? A head and shoulders, right? Like, we could literally be sitting at the highs in the chart. Now, I personally think that, it's possible, but the Trump card is Trump, okay? What is he going to do? What is he going to be able to come up with to save the system? And I'm going to repeat it again. I think crypto is the bailout. And I think the next video I'll do, maybe by Friday of next week, is a wealth transfer video. All the prophecies of the different things that are supposed to help with the wealth transfer. And I'll just talk about that when I make that video. But where could we go? Let me talk about this parallel here. Okay, and this is what I've noticed too, is that once you start in a channel, you got to always, it's a game of parallels, really. Just kind of how the market moves in extremes. So we bounced here. Now we're really hugging this top of this trend line, right? We're having a really hard time getting out of here. We're just stalling, which tells me that I think my parallel is pretty good. And then we should find support here. I don't know. But anyway, the risk is all to the downside. We didn't make a new all-time high when we probably should have with the bullish rate cut, right? Bullish rate cut, but we didn't. And here we are, okay? This gap right here is going to be support next week. I think we're probably going to gap down on Monday, probably fill this gap, and then chop around before we ultimately break down, okay? And, the VIX. Let's end with the VIX. I know a lot of people probably don't know what the VIX is, but I will show you. Just give me a second. I should have had it up. The VIX. Okay, so this is the volatility on the S&P 500. And what you notice, this is on a weekly chart, you can get these massive spikes. And these spikes correlate to crashes, right? Well, where are we? I haven't charted this in a while. Okay, so here, boom, boom, boom. We've broken out, and now literally on this trend line, it's the old trend line, all we're doing is kind of retesting the top of this breakout for support. I highly anticipate the VIX popping. I'm popping pretty high by the end of January, at least. I don't know how long. I mean, usually there's not a lot of volatility in the markets in December. But you can definitely sell off in December, right? Let's just end here, okay? Oh, the Santa Claus rally, things. Look right here. Well, this top, no, that's February. Where's this last cycle right here? This cycle right here. This is January 4th, right here. January 4th. This is November, and this is December 16th, right? We dipped, came back up, making a new all-time high in January right before it collapsed. So charts don't always mimic themselves, but there's usually like a little bit of I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is that patterns usually repeat themselves, not to a T, but you can see that definitely. This is December 16th right here. This candle, they sold off, came back, made a new all-time high before it started this downtrend. Okay, so you can definitely have volatility in December. So just be cautious. And I know we don't get a lot of traders here. I just want people to understand where we're at, what can happen, and ultimately that Jesus is coming back. And I think this is what I'm going to start doing now, is reading the Bible and talking more about charts. And with that, I yield you your time. God bless you. And I'll try to update you as soon as I can.